The worst case I've seen, the moment the house is finished, customer put the hardwood with the light colors. And a little bit later, let's say 6 to 8 months, all this white oak become gray because it's absorbed all the moisture from the concrete. That's a big deal. You have to waterproof again or find a better solution with engineer, but it looks ugly. Just imagine you live in brand new houses and you see it every day. You're really expensive. White oak become great, shitty look floor. A lot of money.
And today my guest is Archie. He's poured foundation for 6 years, including the ones other concrete crews turned down. And today, what foundation actually cost, 10 mistakes that usually people do when they pour foundation, and the 3 things nobody tells you to check before the concrete truck arrives. Archie, really glad to see you today.
Nice to see you.
And I want to ask you, what is your current project? What are you working right now? And how much foundation cost percentage-wise from the total cost of the house?
Depends from the lot condition and the way you want to set the foundation, but it's usually from 10 to 18% of your total budget. It's really special question, like what's the original condition of the lot. If you take the flat lot, it will be lower side, and then you can play more with the frame and take the square footages over there. If it's the hill, it has to be, you have to invest less in the lot. Lot will be cheaper, but you have to invest more in a foundation because it will be way more complicated.
I made research and I quickly realized that the national average price for foundation per square foot varies significantly, depends on the state, soil condition, and so on. Why it's so different? What pushes a job to the top of the range?
Pretty much the whole price is actually clear. There's a price for material, price for labor, and there's, I'll say, the special condition things, like you have to be more prepared. It has to be done in certain hours or certain condition on the site. Here in Texas, everything is dry pretty quick, so I have to bring extra guys in the lot to make it quicker. Different set from the engineer request, what you need to put in the rebar sets, the water barrier, and on and on and on. In general, I'll still say they pretty much the same or closer to trying to be one number, but as I said,
what is the national average? Like, let's set up the...
This is really hard to say. It depends. The Norse, it's only... the reason why it's different because we use a different type of foundations. Or let's say the Washington prefer one way and they have the underground rooms. Oklahoma, Texas, we usually prefer the slab because we have a hard soil. We don't have to dig much. There's some areas, Florida, Louisiana, and some part of Texas as well, that you have to put the piers, and it's also increased it. Another story, sometimes the soil is ready to go. Sometimes you have to work with the soil as well. So it's really
But if
average.
we're talking slab on grade...
I can talk only about Texas.
Yeah.
Say in Texas, numbers great in 2 things, as I said, labor and materials. Sometimes the owner even can cover material and then you pay only for labor. If you go with this formula, it's going to be $9 to $10 per square foot in a labor price, and then I'll say another $7 to $9 in the material price. Usually whenever you do the key on and you talk to foundation guy, he trying to keep it $18 to $20 square foot. We're talking about flat one. On residential, on commercial, different story. There's way more conditions, way more foundation, way more concrete pouring, and a little bit harder in the schedule, time frame, and liabilities.
What was your most expensive foundation you ever built?
If we say foundation is the whole set, including all the retaining walls, extra digging, extra work because somebody messed the pipes, and all together, I believe it go up to $40 square foot. If we're talking only about the slab part, we're still trying to be under the $20 square foot.
But I mean, the whole cost
The whole
of the project,
cost of the project, I think it was closer to 400 just for foundation part. Like, I'll say not foundation, the concrete part, because there was include some retaining walls. It wasn't included in the beginning. And talking to engineer, requesting some information from the engineer, we figure out some of the parts better to do with the concrete retaining walls instead of the wood or metal. So that was included in my scope of work later, which we called a change order. No one of the owners like it, but it is what it is. So in general, around 400. Yeah, that was the most expensive one. That was on a hill. That's the one was take like 8 months. It was split in 4 different stages. We have to do flat, then huge retaining wall go up about 16 or 19 feet with the part underground, and then another flat. So it was like 3 parts minimum for different size, and we have to pour it from two sides at the same time, facing each other. That was pretty hard.
Let's make the calculation a little bit easier for those who are watching this podcast. So let's say we have a house, 1 million budget, and we are ready to spend maybe 100, maybe 150 for foundation. What is inside of this $100,000 for foundation? Like how this amount, like what actually in this amount?
So it's going to be include all prep work, forming, all the inspection, rebar work, material for the rebar, going to have the waterproofing. It will have set up for the bags in all the trenches. It will be pouring, finishing, cleaning. That's pretty much the basic scope of work.
And the biggest part is material or labor in this case?
A lot of my customers complain that like foundation's pretty pricey, but talking about business part, most of my spends are materials. Yes, if it's $120,000 for the project, I'll say it will be like 60 to 70, 75,000, which is like 60% just material cost. Concrete is pretty expensive. Rebar is getting up right now. I'll say the materials take like more than 50%. That's for sure.
How often did you see when people or owners or builders made mistakes, and how often do they invite you like to fix the problem, or you always work like from scratch?
The moment I step on a site, I'm pretty much understand what's my task and what's my scope of work. We don't do much of the soil prep, only the last layer. If it's ready condition, we can take like a feet away and make sure the soil under it is ready to go by the engineer requirements. In general, that's probably the number one biggest mistake. Underestimate the soil you're building on. If it wasn't treated correct way, if it's not compacted enough, you're gonna pay for this later. We have turned a couple contracts down because the owner doesn't want to treat the soil. And I do understand with my experience, it's going to fail on my shoulder later. We break the contract. It was a big drama that day. But every engineer will include the note in your plan that the soil has to be treated. Sometimes 9 feet, sometimes up to 12 feet. Depends on your location. If it's not treated or it's not possible to be treated like Houston one, and it's going to be cost you hell of the money to remove 12 feet or 14 feet of the soil and then put them layer by layer with compaction and watering and all those procedures has to be done, then they use the piers. So there should be some particular way to do it in your location, but you have to follow the procedure. You have to follow all the instructions, all the notes in your plan. If you don't do it, that's a mistake. That's a problem. Of course, you can fix a lot of things, but you better not to.
So for those who just like pretty new in this niche of house building. When we're talking about treatment, we are talking about compacting first.
Yes,
and some kind of like
soil treatment. Either it has to be the correct soil. It has to be compacted in certain percentage. It's 98 to 99% compaction, which mean whatever you put the load on top with your house is not going to give you any movements later. This it can be tested with third-party inspection. It has to be tested with your engineer, or at least engineer has to give you the letter or something to explain you like, hey, this is soil this way, this type, this is what the concrete you have to do. Sometimes, and this is only between you and engineer. Me as a concrete guy, not going to be able to take any liability for this decision. It has to be engineered. But engineer has different tricks. He can give your thinner slab. He can make some of the footing are deeper. He can make it a little bit wider, and they know a lot of tricks how to work with this and that type of soil. I believe that's what they spend the 4 years in college studying.
And how often is the case that we have to bring soil, like a different soil from different part of let's say, city?
Let's say you bought a lot and then you figure out, this soil is not good. That's probably the huge opener for your budget. You're going to spend some money for this, absolutely. You go talk to civil engineer, find a solution. Don't try to make it cheaper. Don't try to cut the corners, say, hey, let's move 1 feet instead of 4, because you're going to pay for this later. I see a lot of houses are paying this with the 3-5 years. There's a lot of cases you build a house you don't even understand, but you're already in trouble because it will take 2 winters, 3 heavy rains, whenever the soil becomes softer in this corner or that corner, and then it's going to start cracking. It might be a small crack, and then you just see the hairline going through your frame every year, and you like come back and touch up it and fix it, paint again and again. It can be opening up to a couple inches through the stone, decorative, whatever the finish on the end of the house. So don't avoid it. In the case you have to treat it the way the engineer told you. A lot of lots are already prepped, and let's say the huge development group or development certain neighborhood, and they build the streets whenever they've been the farm before, they do the treatment for you. They remove 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever they need to be removed, treat it, make it lab tests, and then sell you the lot already ready to go. I know more the Austin area, we don't have big problems with the soil, because most of our soil are rocky and hard enough. So most of the cases I've seen, we have to remove only 2 to 3 feet, and then treat it like every 6 inches.
We have to fight more with limestones.
Yeah, we have another side issue. Yeah, we have to go hard, and that's another story for the spending money, because it kill your equipment, kill your labor, and it's pricey.
Does the foundation number move, and what really drives this price?
Let me just mention, the foundation can cost $20,000 to $30,000 for your house. Not every foundation is really expensive. A lot of times you work with the lot being already prepped for you. The soil been treated, and you pretty much need to do just 4 inches slab on top with 2 feet trenches around, footings. That's not going to be hell of expensive. It's not going to dry you up, and that's the cheapest and the easiest one. It's the multiple trades are ready to do it. My experience, I was going to the hardest one. That's why my prices are so high. But if you go with the easiest one, it can be like 20 to 30,000, 40,000. It might be not that crazy with the price. So you can pour in north side, and then you have 3 suppliers, and they compete to each other. And then you pour somewhere in the hill country where there's only 1 supplier, and he pretty much dictates you what's going to be the price. And you can go from $156, $160 a yard, can go up to $200 a yard. We prefer work with ready mix, which is a little bit on a higher price. these guys are pouring and mixing right on the site. They bring in the trucks with every component are separated. They mix it right on the site, and I can control the moisture, the slump. I can tell them to add water, make it like more dry, and it's always fresh. I know it's going to be the best quality compared to the one coming with the mixing machine. The tragedy and the bad news might be if he's stuck in the traffic more than a couple hours, and the concrete mix will be overheated. It will lose
some density.
It will be not the condition you want. So that's the problem for Texas side. If it's mixing too long, it's overheated. The reaction is making the concrete bad, and it's gonna become more weaker than you expect. You as the owner won't even know this. It's only trust to your concrete guy unless you do the inspection the moment before they start pouring.
And do you do inspection when they come? Like, can you check in some way the quality?
Yes, there you can call for third-party inspections. They're gonna bring the mobile lab, and they're gonna take the test with them. You will know what's going on with your mixture. On top of this one, if you have some, let's say, the conflict with your concrete guy and you can't decide what's going on, or you see too much cracks, you can check the concrete after you pour. You make cylinder cuts and bring it to the lab, and they test it and tell you, okay, that's correct PCA. Is that correct mixture? Did he make everything properly?
A lot of people really like stories about some mistakes, several mistakes that I'm pretty sure you saw, like a pressure gauge that install. We have to control like plumbing on roughing stage. Can you explain this one, or maybe other mistakes you see that people like repeating again and again?
So working with the first early stages, you actually involved working with different trades. It's a plumbing guy, electric guy, it may be some underground HVAC or some whatever the connection you need to bring under the concrete. First of all, you have to respect their work, and they have to respect your work. But the thing has happened. They put the plastic PVC pipes 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, whatever they needed, and then you move some heavy pipes. You move some hammers, whatever, the rebar fell on it, and it's cracked. If you don't let anyone know that this is the problem happen, even they have all the whatever it's called, the grades, the meters to show the pressure. Just be honest, say, hey, this is what happened. It's way easier to fix before you pour the concrete, way easier to fix it before you put the rebar. Respect other trades. But yeah, if it's happened, just go ahead, make sure it keep the pressure, make sure your electric conduits are not caught at the somewhere they're not supposed to do it. It will cost you more to remove it. And make the measurements. The most common thing I see, since everyone in a rush in the first stage, everyone wants to have the concrete ready so they can start do the framing and bring more trades on the site. The owner is not properly make sure the all measurements are correct the day when they do the layout with the plumber, and they have to come back after we pour, cut a little bit of the concrete and move it 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, saw cut, and then pour back. That's another withdraw. It's another line which draw you down. Make sure it's correct. The islands that you put in the kitchen, the restrooms, the drainage for your bath and for your toilet. Yeah, make sure they're in the correct spot. It's not the end of the world if you have to move it, but at another week might cost you another inspection. It will definitely cost you to cut and put more concrete later.
This is very surprising. I saw at least 3 builders. They're quite experienced. One builder we know, he built a lot of houses. Another builder, he built 5 houses. And when I visited their building sites, I saw absolutely the same problem you just described. I see like a toilet in the middle of the room. And I asked him, like, what happened?
Just my experience, everyone in a rush. Like, I'm have to take a break for a day or two for the plumbing show up. And then the owner, as I said, everyone trying to rush every trade. That's probably the tradition going on in construction. And that's just a human mistake. People like the plumber, he trying to do his best, but then he realized, okay, the plans wasn't updated. And now the architecture want to move the island to different spot or move it 2 inches. So whatever you have on the side, your superintendent, either you manage your project you own, keep everything updated. Your measurements probably measure. That's your best friend on the site. Don't be shy to just go remeasure it again to point your trade. Hey, this is not correct. We all make mistakes, but like try to avoid them. And if you find them, fix it right away. My way to do the business, if we find a mistake, if we make mistake, I'm trying to do my best to fix it. Because we have to fix it anyway, and this way or another it's going to be done. But my idea just to point it, hey, we need an extra day because we messed up or something going on wrong. We're here to fix it. Since the customer paying to me, I'm trying to take all headaches, at least for the concrete side only, instead of coming back to him say, hey, the trucks are not show up, the pump is not show up. This is not his problem. This is my problem. I'm trying to take it more serious. Same story with the forms. That sometimes forms can open up. Whatever the reason, we did have some forms open up. That happened to us. Been a lawn pour. The form's been set up maybe 2 weeks, and there was a couple heavy rains. My stocks and forms get weaker in some certain point. We didn't find it, and the day we pour, it opened a couple inches. I mean, a couple inches not a big deal, but it looks ugly, and the frame is not on there. Solution was super easy. Bossman just give me another day. We're there with the grinder, with the hammer drills. Next day it's done, smoothed and polished. No question to me from the customer. He's happy. He didn't even feel that as a headache. For me, yeah, I lose some money, but we keep going keeping our face good.
When we are moving, when we see that we have a let's say toilet pipe in the wrong place, and if we just using jackhammer, just destroy some part of concrete, that's good until we touch the rebar, right? So if we need redo significantly, we have to again pass inspection and.
So yeah, if you cut any reinforcement for the foundation, we use post tension cables and rebars. If it's a rebar, it's way easier. If it's post tension, it's a big headache. Don't ever cut the post tension cable. In the case you have to move the pipes, you have to work around. If it's a rebar, you get the letter from engineer the way you want it connected. You pretty much have to make the right connection for the lengths of the rebar to tie them again. Yes, some cities require this new inspection for the pre-pour if you have to move the things inside. Sometimes the letter from engineer with his inspection is enough. For just one note about moving the things around. Let's say that you have to move the pipes. Before you pour the foundation, to be honest, especially if you don't have much of the experience, it's not the easiest part to really make the measurements because you measure everything in air. You don't see the physical parts. You don't see the surfaces. The moment we pour the concrete, now, yes, you can go and write or mark whatever you need because you already have a surface. It's way easier to do when you have a surface. When you have just a frame and your imagination, it's another task.
At least in Texas, maybe in other states, there was even more serious cases. I remember one case when people build pools and they use some type of concrete that then start cracking.
Yeah.
This was one case.
Yeah.
Another case that I found from Matt Riesinger about a lawsuit that builders use a wrong vapor barrier, and a lot of houses faced hardwood capping, dark spots, mold in new houses, and a lot of other things. Can you explain these huge cases that happened?
So talking about the concrete cancer, yeah, that was a huge deal. Everyone talking. That's a media thing. That's pretty much only on the supply side. And of course, until they pour, until it starts showing the cracks, nobody really understands that things is go wrong. Nowadays, if we talking the concrete for the pools, you're absolutely liable to call for the lab inspection from the supplier, and the supplier are requiring to provide you whatever you request for the numbers. Make sure it's correct and code complained. Talking about the vapor barriers, that probably costs more on the mass production builders, the one who build 30 to 50 to 60 houses a month. If we're talking more single house, custom build, never see much of those problem, but I believe it's a pretty complex thing involving the drainage system as well. It's involving the footing density. Like, let's say your footing is 2 feet and you prep the soil correctly, all your vapor barrier are sealed. There will be pretty hard way for moisture to break in. If you put the shortcut and you didn't do the proper footing, the water will find a way going under your foundation. It's going to be a big problem. But as I said, it's probably the complex issue. Most of the builders are not even putting the gutters for the houses. It's not required by final inspection. So they cut the corner, cut some spans, and of course the whole water from your roof are going to go right to the foundation and making another risky part.
So cutting corners on this stage is very pricey.
Everyone trying to make a buck, absolutely understand. But we building for the people. We want people live in these places. We want to be proud of our products and the business we do. So it has to be smart. It has to make sense budget wise, but cut every corner. That's the problem. Just probably do it correct first house. Make sure everything correct. Trying to push every trade to make it correct. Learn, educate as much as you can.
I found the info that based on the 2021 international building codes, they changed requirements for vapor from 6 mil to 10 mil. And some builders, experts, I would say, not just builders, like really pushing this topic, like, hey, you have to use 10 mil. What is your recommendation?
The 10 mil is common for commercial construction, absolutely, and it's been used for a lot of years. Residential one, most of one we've seen in the plans required by engineer, it was 6 mil. You, as a concrete guy, you never make decision what you put. You always follow up the instructions from your plans. As the customer, it just has to be understand who's going to pay for this. It's not the big difference, but if you want to follow the updated code, even it's not required by engineer, you're absolutely liable, and you're free to call for, hey, just put an extra thinner water barrier. Another thing, whenever you put the water barrier, make sure you put it properly. It doesn't matter how thin is this. If you, after you put it, you still have hundreds holes from the rebar, from the scratches and cuts, it's not going to help you much. So the moment you finish with the water barrier, make sure it's sealed. You cover and tape and fix all the holes, whatever was happened while you're working on this. 10 mil, probably the better solution. I mean, absolutely better solution, but who is going to pay for this if it's not required by the engineer? We follow the notes, we follow the detail on the plans. That's the main thing.
Just for new first-time builders, if we see, let's say you're just walking in the morning and you see some cut on the vapor barrier, I don't know, someone did it. You have to replace everything, or you have you can just seal it in some way?
There is a way to seal it and cover it and fix it. You don't have to replace the whole
It's
thing.
not the end
It's
of the
pretty
world.
much the plastic.
Okay.
Just the plastic, and it's going to help you with the hardest part from the water, moisture, from the under it to the concrete part. I've seen the worst case I've seen, the moment the house is finished, the customer put the hardwood with the light colors. And a little bit later, let's say 6 to 8 months, all this white oak become gray because it's absorbed all the moisture from the concrete. That's a big deal. You have to waterproof again, or find a better solution with engineer, but looks ugly. Just imagine you live in brand new houses and you see it every day. You're really expensive. White oak become great, shitty look floor. A lot of money.
What corner gets cut most often in this trade that owner usually never spot? Like where owner builders really want to cut corners?
A little bit under the table with this question. So what I've seen, I've seen round rebar. Instead of 5, they use 4. I've seen less rebar than it required. You not insured with inspection because the inspector also can pass it. Some engineer usually spot this or require to prove that this is rebar matching the plan detail. But yeah, I've seen the wrong rebar being put. I've seen this is a cut in a vapor barrier. That's not a good thing, or the wrong vapor barrier. Seen those before. The quality of the concrete mixture. The idea to put the certain PCI concrete in a foundation is make sure your house is gonna be stable, not gonna give you crack, and you're gonna live there forever. The moment when the concrete mixture is spoiled with the weather, as I said, is one of the examples, just overheated, whatever it's called, the old concrete mix. That's probably the cut of the concrete, because everyone trying to make a buck, some not good trades can try to order the cheapest concrete, and the cheapest usually not good.
Are inspectors, doesn't matter, city inspector, third-party inspector, are they your friends or they your enemies? Like, don't mess with me, like, don't.
So really depends on his mood, and did his wife kiss him in a cheek this morning, or nobody smiled to him. As I said, we usually friends with inspector. You're not trying to, he's not your enemy for sure. It's all the thing with liabilities, who's responsible from which part. The city, sometimes it's pain in the ass to call for extra inspections to meet him to go with this. But for you as the owner, as a builder, he's probably your friend. He can spot some things you miss. He can help you to explain some codes. When I started my career, I have some questions was point me only the moment we did inspection. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that has to be this way. Of course, one day we all started, but most of the time he's your friend. Even it's, as I said, annoying to make more and more inspections. Your engineer is absolutely on your side. He's the one who trying to find the solutions. He's involved in the moment you have more questions, like some change orders, some RFIs. He's your friend. And as I said, everyone take a little bit piece of the liability for what's going on in general. It make you more safe. So I'll say it's not your enemy.
So talking about your business, you told me that you build your business on the jobs that other concrete crews usually don't want to do.
Yep.
Can you explain like why? What is the strategy about?
That's from the business perspective. I need to. I was looking for bigger contract. As I said, it's almost double price of the slab, of the flat slab. So we go for the hills. I have engineer degree in the past, so it's pretty clear for me what has to be done. And on our local side, we have less competitive, because as I said, not a lot of concrete guys are really good with the hills, or it's getting like top price. So that was my call, to just get a bigger contract, less competitors, and clear understanding what I need to do because I have some background.
That's amazing. I think it's like a blue ocean strategy, it's called.
Kind of.
Ready mix versus fresh mix on site. You usually pay 10% more for fresh mix. Can you explain the waste game most owners never see on the invoice, and why you're using different type of mixes, like when one is preferable, when another is preferable?
We try both. And we find out, yes, it's a little bit more expensive to do the fresh mix on the side. But as I said, it's always the condition you want it, easier to control, and has a little bit less waste. You trying to do your calculation as clear, as correct as possible, but in real life, another inch of the thickness, a little bit more layer on some footing, whatever can bring you another 3 to 10 yards of the concrete. Whenever you call for the ready mix, it might take 2 hours, 2.5 hours to burn it. The mixing they do on the sides never spoil it. They can always bring you extra. They're not in a rush. You always stay in touch with dispatch. In my practice, it saved me a lot of time before, a lot of my nerves, because they always can bring you a little bit more, and that's not a big deal for them. Make it pretty quick. So fresh, more stable, easier to work, less waste. Talking to moment you do it key on with your subcontractor, it's pretty much his headache, the way he wanted. You can't tell him what you want. But in the case he provide you only the labor and you do the material, you cover the material, that's probably will be on your side. And I believe the fresh mix on the side is way better and ready to go. Another problem, they can bring you more, let's say, than 20 trucks a day. Even you do 2 pumps, probably that's the maximum. With the ready mix, usually it's a little bit cheaper and they make it a little bit more routes for you. It's more popular. That's probably the number one reason. And let's say the good thing for ready mix, probably the price.
But there is a risk that if they
there's always
stuck somewhere,
there is always risk. Yeah, it's overheated here in summertime in Texas. That might be your risk part. As I said, they don't drive more than an hour. Whenever you choose the concrete, you usually pick the supplier pretty close to you. And we talking around the town, it's 2-3 suppliers around. If we talking the countryside, it might be 1 in 100 miles, and then you have to go with this guy. Even he bring you the ready mix, or he mix it on the side.
And basically, the fresh mix, just like for myself and for everyone who's just jumping this topic, like it's basically mix of dry formula plus water, right?
Yep.
So nothing.
No, the
no rocket
cement,
science.
sand, gravel, and the water.
Good. You mentioned a lot of about heat. So heat and concrete. What happens when trucks sit too long on hot day? I don't know. In Texas or in many other states, the southern part of the United States, we basically have a summer for 5-6 months sometimes.
Yep.
How to deal with that? Just to not to use a company's more than 1 hour from your building site, or is there any other ways to protect yourself from overheating?
So there is a certain precision the moment you pour it. You have to pour super quick. That's why you better bring more labor guy, the experienced one who's not stuck in one spot. They understand how much concrete and how quick it's supposed to go. So bring more labor. Start early. Sometimes we start 3 a.m., 4 a.m., to finish it before the lunchtime, so it start drying. And as slower it's dry, it's better. The slowest it can go, it's better. But in realistic life, the moment we start pouring in the morning, by the lunchtime, we already walk on it. And that's coming to the next stages of smoothing it out, finishing, polish it. By the end of the day, it's pretty much ready to go. But yeah, fighting with the heat, with the hot weather, not the easiest part. You also have to treat your concrete. You have to moisture it. You keep it wet. You put some plastic on top. There's certain precision that your subcontractor have to follow if it's overheated. And another side might be the rain. The summer in Texas, it's absolutely unpredictable for the rain weather. You can start with the warm and sunny day, and after lunch it's a storm. The trees are falling, and it's like maximum of the water on top of your fresh concrete. So follow the weather guy. Make sure the day is perfect. They also can slide your schedule. There's a lot of times when we talk to the customer, explain even everything done, all the inspection is ready. We still have to make sure the day we pour, it's the perfect day we can do it, either based on the weather, on a crew schedule. You don't want to be shorthanded. You better have extra guy or two. You better have the guys on a call. If something happened and you do understand you need more finishers, somebody show up at 12 as a second.
What is the perfect weather for you? Like sunny day or more like a cloudy?
Cloudy, probably the best. I mean, we don't choose the weather.
Yeah,
it just depends from the condition. We trying to make shifts in our set. We, as I said, bring more people, make sure we have the trucks ready. Make sure sometimes we bring 2 pumps to pour it from 2 sites at the same time and finish earlier. And then sometimes we finish by hand. Sometimes we bring in the helicopter, just make the work quicker.
But what is still the question of what is the perfect weather like for pouring concrete? It's not too hot, not too cold.
So there is, like, you can't pour it in the cold weather because you have the water inside. You can't put it overheated because it's going to be dry too quick. So I'll say the normal cloudy is a perfect one. Let's say 70 to 90 Fahrenheit. It's a perfect. But you also we've been pouring in 40 Fahrenheit, probably to 100 Fahrenheit. So we just have to know what we do.
Yeah, this is my next question. I just spoke with last Sunday with a guy from Minnesota. We discussed a little bit the conditions, and another guy from Canada. What is the cold weather version of, let's say, pouring process in northern states?
They have their own way to pour it, not like we didn't pour in the north, to be honest. From whatever I know, there is also some ways to pour it whenever it's minus. I heard a different additive to the concrete can help you. I heard they put some special covers and warm it up during the cold weather. Not too familiar. We don't have much of it.
Guys, if you know, share your experience how you pour concrete in somewhere in North Dakota. Maybe I will come to record video. If a homeowner or builder tells you, I want extra rebar, make it strong, I'll pay, like what do you tell them? No, yes, like
if it's extra rebar, it have to make sense. If it makes sense for the customer, it doesn't usually make sense for the engineer. So of course you can give me the orders as the owner, but we have to follow up the engineer request. My colleague in this precision is the engineer. If the engineer confirm it, no problem. If you put too much rebar, you make the concrete more weaker. If you put less rebar or you put a different rebar, it just play with the way of the final product. Sometimes customers like overcare, overthinking. He has to just talk to engineer first.
So structural engineer is your best friend.
Absolutely. That's
Always.
his part of the work to make sure we follow his details.
Do you chair your rebar or crews lift it during the pour? I mean, when you lift up.
Yeah, we put some spacers under it. That's required by the code before.
And I watched several times, for those who don't do what they're doing, like could be a mistake, like people.
So if we're talking not about foundation, talking about the driveway, I've seen a lot of times the moment they put the rebar, the moment they do the rebar during the pouring, I've seen that happen before. They just slice it a little bit. The thing is, the city care only about their part, whatever is in the seed line of the city next to the street. They don't even do inspection mostly for the rest of the driveway. So that part will be on you. I highly recommend to put the spacers before you pour. I see they shake and they lift a little bit of the concrete of the rebar the moment they pour. Both ways can work as long as they really do it. If they tell you we're gonna lift it during the pouring and they don't, that make no sense because your layers is gonna be already spoiled. Rebar has to sit in certain layer of the concrete to make it work of the reinforcement.
So you prefer
Put the spacers.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Put the spacer. Don't play it while you're pouring.
Let's imagine that you are not you are on other side. You are owner builder, and you have several bids. Like, what are your red flags? What is really cheap and what is really expensive? How would you choose bids? Like, what will be your way of thinking?
Talking from the owner perspective, you will face two type of bid. First one will try to underbid it just to catch you with the and hook you with the contract. Another one will give you the proper bid based on all the scope of work you expect from him. Going with the first one, a little bit risky. You will go, okay, that's the cheapest one. He gave me the cheaper price, give me a lot of promises, and I'm trying to cut the budget. Let's go with this one. Later on, you figure out that he didn't include the rebar, or he included rebar lower sizes, or he didn't include the trenches clean, or he didn't include some forms, and then he say the forms on your side. So the scope of work has to be clean. If it's key on, it should include everything. If it's low bid and you do understand it's low, it has to be low for some reason. Look for someone who provide you the clean scope of work and make sure that scope is covering your needs with your building. We go in our bids, we go pretty clean with all the scope we covering. We hate to provide a change order. Change order is always conflict between me and the owner, or between me, owner, builder, and the owner, because somebody has to pay for that change order, and it's always like emotional. It's always questioning why is it change order, why you didn't include it in original bid. Whenever you send the estimate, my understanding, the customer want to see the realistic number, what it's gonna cost him. No question more. A lot of trades just to hook you up, gonna send you under lower bids, gonna underbid everyone else, kick all the competitors out, and the moment you already signed with him, he was like, hey, I actually didn't include it in this one. This is a change order, extra money for this, extra money for that. And you as a builder or as an owner, you actually have your own grid with budgeting. You have your budget sheet. In that list, you didn't expect extra 10-20% increase for the foundation because...
So the worst estimate, how it looks, the worst estimate is just one line, foundation and price, because you don't have all the details.
Yeah. And that price, as I said, you go do a couple bids. If it's not your first house, you pretty much understand what's the prices for foundation. A lot of guys who sit with no work can go lower. It doesn't mean they're the worst one. It just has to be like clear. Why is the price lower? Either you're trying to catch me as a new customer, but you still provide a good quality, or you just don't understand how this work, and I have to pay for all your mistakes that you didn't include in the bid. So in my world of the building, I don't see as much of the advertisement work for the between the builders, business to business, but I've seen a lot of referrals work. So your bid shouldn't be the lowest one, and it has to provide with some names behind, like this person worked for your friend for another builder. He can show you and explain his experience. Then you build a little bit trust, and then you go. So the price, probably I wouldn't go for the cheapest one. I wouldn't trust the highest one, or at least has to have some information behind why is this cost this much. If you work with this small company, they don't have much of the overhead spent. Like they might not have an office, they might not have the warehouse, so their overhead is not that big. If you go with a big concrete company or concrete guy, he might include his markup 20, 25, 30, 40% because he has that overheads, and that might have sense for some construction, might not have for you. So just try to keep it as clear as possible. The cheapest is not good.
In your world of this type of works with the concrete, is there any place for premium concrete works? Like, I don't know what could be premium, what you consider as a premium when the price is like really high. It's just because of brand or service, or like we will provide you with 4,500 psi concrete or something like that.
So we all have to go with the all details go in the plans, and prices are super close. The moments you pay extra, you pretty much pay extra for trust.
What? Yeah, that's a question.
You pay for let's say it's extra 10%. And first of all, you're like, no, I don't understand why is it extra 10%. But then you realize this is the guy who do show up at the schedule. He didn't mess your schedule. The moment you face some issues, he's right there to fix it for you. You don't have to be there at 6 a.m. in the morning. He's going to be there. His crew's going to be there. He do what he promised. And, of course, it worth that extra 10%. Because whatever he's not included, whatever the moment he's not going to be professional, it's going to be your headache. You put him in a schedule. He said he's going to be there Monday. He show up Friday. You minus 4 days. 4 days costs you extra for your loan, promises to your customer if it's custom built. It shift all your rest of your trades, which gonna be problem. Let's say the concrete guy didn't show up first week, show up week later. The plumber guy will show up week later. That's gonna be mess his schedule, and it's just gonna have a lot of talking on the phone, asking for favor to show up more and more and more. So reputation, I think it worth it. If it's a good reputation, it can be paid extra 10%.
Good point. I didn't think about that from this perspective. Yeah, so you're paying basically for, I would say, peace of mind.
Absolutely.
So you will be sleeping well and not show up at 5 a.m. to control. How high should the top of the foundation sit above finished grade, and why do so many houses end up with a dirt touching the siding? Can you explain this part of?
That's probably the corner caught it and wasn't seen in correct way. Here in Austin, it's minimum of the 6 inches above the grade. I've seen a lot of older houses 10 to 20 years are 1 or 2 inches in the ground. That's just a huge mistake of engineer and the builder. It shouldn't be done that way, and it's gonna cost. Long term, it's going to cost the problem for the house. Either water go under the frame or bring some extra moisture. You don't want to do it. The moment you put the house, you put the layouts for foundation, that's the moment you have to measure it. That's the moment you have to follow it. Sometimes engineer, whoever did the survey, they don't talk to each other. An engineer never been in a lot, put you some certain heights, but they not realistically on a real job site. He put you whatever the number you have to follow, but it's still less than 4 inches or 6 inches. You have to call for that thing to make sure it's going to be above. Another thing, the moment you do the foundation, your your landscape are not finished. You finish the house, and then you understand, okay, I need another 2 inches of the good soil, and then another 2 inches of the grass. Here's your minus 4 inches.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, whose job is to get the elevation right? Yours, engineer, builder, like...
That's engineer and builder. The moment I figure out that foundation is too low, I call for this one. I explain, hey, this is what's gonna cost you later. Make sure this is correct. But as I said, me as a concrete guy, I have to follow. That's my liabilities. That's my responsibility to follow the plan and the plan detail. It will say me how high it has to be above the ground. But that's the engineer work to make sure the plan in a paper are matching the real site.
Let's explain some different types of foundation when that's the case for different maybe cities, states, and type of soils. I know you mostly build slab.
Yeah, slab on a grade.
I remember you mentioned some in Houston. Piers.
It's pretty much the same slab on a grade.
So can you explain different types?
So my experience in Houston, it been the same slab on a grade, but it has piers under it to make it more stable. Austin area, most of them slab on a grade, and also we did the liner foundation, which is pretty much just the retaining walls, and then you put the frame on top of those. That's the 3 types what I work. There is a little bit more of those in the northern parts. In Florida, I just don't have much experience with those, so I won't even name them. But slab on a grade, the most popular here. Doesn't matter how high is this, even if it's on a hill, it's still gonna be slab on a grade. It's cut and fall for the 20 feet.
You mentioned that it's getting more and more popular, the slab with a tension.
Post-tension cables.
Post-tension cables. Why it's getting more popular?
A little bit easier to set up. Engineers love it more because it's make the reinforcement work better, absolutely better. But it has to be put in a correct way. If you make mistake, if you didn't put it in a correct position in the wrong location, it will not work in a certain area where your engineer wanted. It's going to be spoiled. So it's getting more popular because of the engineer make it as a preferable. Rebar, let's say the old school, the reinforcement. It's not a new technology. I believe it's over 20, 50 years. But it's coming from commercial to residential more and more. All the skyscrapers are use the reinforcement, the modern one. The slabs, the floors between, they just make the reinforcement glass a thing. Absolutely.
What changes when builder or homeowner decided to build on the slope? Like a lot of people, I'm buying the cheap slope lots. I'm so happy, and then they realize, oh my God, we have to deal with a very different things on foundation stage. Can you explain what immediately changed?
So here's the catch. Yes, you're gonna have cheaper lot. Everyone understand building on a slope is harder and more expensive. You will have to be involved in more complicated foundation. As I said, it's going to be some high parts, 15, 20 feet of the rise in some certain side of your foundation. It will take longer. It will be less trades. So it's going to be more expensive just for that perspective, because most of the trades for foundation are building the easy go slab, making like 2-3 weeks ready to go. If it's on a slope, might split in different pouring days. Between them might be another 2-3 inspections, and that's just make it longer, which make it more expensive. Another thing here in Austin area, we don't have much of the flat lots, so you kind of pushing it over there because you don't have much of the choice. On a good part, most of the slopey lots mean you have a nice view, and this is the part you have to understand. You build unique project covering exactly that view of the river, forest, lake, whatever, and it has to be the part of your offer. The final product will have certain unique offer because of this view. So you have to understand that this is not a minus. This can be used as a plus. If you have cheaper lot, if you have a nice view, yes, the foundation part will be more expensive, but you're building a unique product.
And it will take more time, right? So
more time,
not
more
1
money,
month, maybe several months.
I'll say if we compare in the flat one and the one on the slope, I'll say it doubled the time of the building. It's the hardest one. I couldn't even remember what was the hardest one. They all was hard, and they all have to be like really particular. It has like case by case. They're not the same. There's some parts are the same, but it's case by case.
I think I remember one more challenge of building on slope. Sometimes the retaining wall could be so high that you cannot even build like in a one. Let's say you have to. You cannot build it in one iteration. You have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And if it's
12 feet, if I'm not wrong.
If it can be more. The highest retaining wall I think was 19 or 18 feet total. But yeah, you have to split it in different stages. You pour the flat zone, then you put the retaining wall, and then you put another flat one on top, and it's might be months between each of them.
When you are building on the slope and you have several stages, let's say three levels, who is in charge of levels? Like that you, let's say your next level will be absolutely on the level that is required. Like who is in charge?
You have this in the detail of your plan. Engineer is giving you all the heights that you need to follow up. You have the point in the physical world. You have the point where you put your level, and then you count from that side, and you pretty much just check it every time.
But you are checking or builder checking?
Me checking it. I have to make sure I'm following the plan. It's gonna be saying me in the plan where's it start, where's it finish, where's the first level, where's the second level, where's the third level, whatever the levels you have to be on that side. And the moment you build the frame, that's the moment you have to check it again and again.
All these termites, bugs, insects, they usually come to our house through some penetration, some small cracks in the slab. I remember you told like every foundation has some kind of cracks. So how many penetrations are in typical slab? Who is checking them? And another question related to this, like, are you a supporter of anti-termite work on the foundation level or when it finished? Like, what is your thoughts on this matter?
It has to be dictated with your inspection from your city or county. The moment when you do the pest treatment. From my experience, there's two options. Option one, you do it before you put the foundation, and they give you certificate for 2 years, I believe. Or the moment you put it after it, and they treat it all around, they give you a certificate, which you have to do it again and again every year. Any insect will find the way to do it in an easier way. The concrete is the hardest part. For whoever make the hole in the concrete, it's a hell of a lot of work. They're going to do it through the frame probably. But to keep them away, to make it treatment correct, to get the certificate that you need for the city inspection, for the county, you have to do it in certain moments. And we prefer to do it before the concrete. Make sure it's like 100% legit and ready for the next stage.
But if we're talking about like small cracks, some builders like really freak out if they see some cracks. Oh my God, you did something wrong.
I believe if it's a hairline, it's just decorative thing. Think up to the 1/8 is okay. If it's more than that, if you put your coin in it, that's a problem. It can be fixed. It depends what you finish on the floor. It can be fixed. It can be whatever it's called. You can put some chemicals in it and make it fixed. The idea is your foundation does not shift. If it's a concrete, it might be wrong with the procedure, with the treatment. After you pour in it, like you didn't moisture it enough, there's no concrete are not gonna crack. They're gonna crack today. It's gonna crack in 10 years. It depends on a crack, and it depends if you follow your precision, you follow the instructions of the engineer and the concrete pouring.
What
Like the thin of the hair is not a big deal.
How many days or how many months maybe based on the different types of foundation, we may see some cracks appearing? How fast we see oh my God, there is a crack and there is a crack.
Probably the first hairline crack might show up in a week or two. And they probably stay there forever. You're not going to see them. You cover them with the flooring and other layers of the finish. The bigger one will show up after you put something heavy. Let's say you put a structure on it. What recommended by the code, the curing of the concrete has to be no less than 28 days. I'll say 30 days. That's the moment you can put some frame and some columns, metal frames, whatever. What I've seen, people start putting them in 7 days. That's the risk up to what you put. The wood frame is not the heaviest part. The steel frame is pretty bad. Like you have to keep it at least. Longer you keep it, as long it's the stronger it's become.
And will all these cracks, the number of cracks depends on the type of foundation. Let's say if it's I never built with beams, for example, or piers, but it looks like it should play even more, like shift, no?
Probably the foundation will be one of the heaviest part in your house. And that's the idea, to give the heaviest part on the bottom of your structure. Beams, the thickness of the concrete, it's all dictated by the engineer plans. So if you see the big crack, there's something going on wrong. Either it's wrong concrete, wrong procedure for the pouring day, or engineer mistake. Something of those three.
Have you ever fixed some big cracks?
We didn't have any problem with our concrete. We did have hairlines. We did have cracks in the driveways. The moment we put the driveway, the customer have a huge delivery and just the forklift go over the concrete. We have to report that part, and that was extra charge. Didn't have like big of the problem with the concrete.
I watched this crazy video on YouTube, and some companies just lift the whole foundation with the house. That's mind-blowing.
That's they use the heavy jackhammers. That's happened a lot of on north side of Austin.
Pressure.
Yeah, it happened a lot of north side of Austin. The old houses which wasn't put in the correct soil or treated soil. 5-10 years later, one of the corner of your house starts thinning and thinking in your soil, make it cracks. They make a hole under that corner. Find out the central of the mess, the central they want to put the force, and then they put the force on both sides, down to the soil and up to the house. It might go up to 9 or 10 feet down there until it's find the stable part, and then you just build up of those concrete cylinders, and then you make support under your corner, and it can treat it. But that's the way different story. That's mean it's already too late.
I think it's super expensive.
I've seen from $20,000 to $50,000. The problem with it, we don't do that, but I've just been called a lot to fix the foundation on aftermarket. It's already headache. You have to fix it. It's pricey. It's one thing. Another thing, no one give you the warranty for the whole foundation after that. They're going to give you the warranty only for the part they fix. So the moment another part can be fail, it's a problem. Believe the engineer has to be involved, the permitting has to be involved, and it has to be correct company who do it. We don't do it.
Yeah, it's rocket science. I think it's pretty complicated. So I remember you mentioned the hardest foundation you have poured. It's like a 100 trucks,
Yeah.
30-foot wall, 3 stages. Can you walk me through it a little bit in details? I'll put some photos of this project here on the screen, but can you explain me?
That's not the perfect case. It was so much challenging. The problem is it was either logistic question because it was narrow. We couldn't put much of the big equipment over there. Have to use only small equipment. It was narrow for loading, unloading. As I said, all logistic thing was nightmare. We also have to split it on different stages, which killed time, and I have to work with the owner, explain him again and again what's going on and why we've been delayed. Seeing weather wasn't on our side, it cost me another month or two of being delayed. And just a huge amount of labor. That's probably the worst part. We did it. It just been hard because too much challenges at the same time. Even with my experience, I did underestimate it, and it cost me some certain losses. But in general, find it, finish it, and I know this project on the next stage turn.
And I think one more challenge that many builders who want to build on slope stages don't realize that you cannot just extract a lot of soil or a lot of rocks from one part of your lot to another. You just don't have a space.
If you that was our problem, the logistic. We couldn't bring. I wish I can bring the heavy equipment over there, which saved me maybe 2 months of work, because I have to dig with the small excavator. We bring some trenchers. We bring some hammers. We did even like 2-3 spots at the same time. It just time consuming and more. And then the one, I think we make 30% of the project. Engineer also fail, and he's make his mistake because he didn't do correct the heights of the main house. And we figure out that we have to dig another 4 feet of the hard rock, and it's like how much, another month or a half of almost hand digging, because we couldn't bring equipment over there. That was a nightmare.
Not only in Texas, but in other states where they have a lot of rocks underneath this soft soil. Like, what is the way to break it? Just by jackhammer, or like you cannot use explosion, right?
No, it's a hammer jack, excavator, hand picking up,
and just like slowly.
Yeah. You go slowly. Your best friend is the heavy equipment. Like you bring the huge Komatsus, and they make it super quick because they're heavy. They can go through the rocks. If it's not the big amount, you can go with a regular hammer for the excavator or bobcat, and just go chip it piece by piece. Maybe do as we did in a couple spots at the same time. It will help.
Experienced foundation guys repeat me again and again, and your lot or your soil pick up the foundation, not you.
Yeah.
Is it true? False?
That's gonna be the good topic between your engineer and the owner. The owner will request to do the cheapest way and the most wise for the price question, but the engineer will do the tests on the soil and choose the type of the foundation. In our region, slab on the gray, most popular, most clear. That's why I choose perfectly go with the rocky and clay soil.
Let's say you are the buyer of the lot. You want to build a house. What three things you need to know about this lot before you pay for it? I mean, from foundation standpoint, like what you will investigate first.
You need to understand the basic sets for the lot. Where's your house gonna be? Of course, you're gonna, even it's a slope. Sometimes there might be enough space to keep it more flat, closer to the road, closer to the end of the lot. Where's situation where you put it, As flatter is gonna be cheaper. That's to understand. If it's a crazy slope, you go down, I don't know, 25-30% slope, it's gonna be hell of expensive.
So we need to know elevation first.
Elevation is flatter as it is cheaper is gonna be. Even if it's a slope with a good view, try to find and set your house in a particular way. Then you need to understand, you build wide or you build up. That's the different story, because you're trying to keep certain square footages to make it sense with the profit. Another thing here in Austin, you also fight with the codes for the sewerage system. You have to understand how much space will take your house and how much space take your septic field.
So the elevation is the first important thing we have to check when we are buying the lot. The second will be
elevation. Just tell you, choosing a lot, probably you're not going to base on the foundation. Just keep in mind the foundation on the slope will cost more. As flatter this, it's going to be more cheaper and make more sense for you. In our condition in Austin, as I said, we don't have much of the flat lots, so we have to play with the slopey. We have to understand if that's not too slopey, not too crazy, and financially makes sense, go for this. The moment you choose the lot, you probably talk or bring the engineer on the side in architecture to realize how big the house can be, and engineer will tell you what kind of foundation it's going to be take. This type of foundation, they all pretty much the same price, plus minus. To put something heavy on the bottom of your house, plus minus the same prices. But the way you put it and how high is it, it's probably you, architect and engineer.
Let me clarify. Let's say if we have this part is flat and this is a slope, so we
try to bring it to the flat zone more,
because we will save money, right?
Yeah.
Then I think based on your discussion and explanation, we have to check the soil, invite soil.
You have to do the survey on the soil. That's the request. Most of the cities are requiring you to do the survey. You bring the excavator, they dig holes 6 feet to 10 feet to 12 feet, and then you realize what's the soil you have. Based on that survey, your engineer going to tell you, hey, this is this type of foundation or another.
And you mentioned that you also have to answer the question how it should be wide or it should be tall. Can you explain why it matters for foundation?
It's just going to be, the cost of the concrete will be less. If you build tall, let's say your house 24 to 26,000 100 square feet. If it's going to only the first floor need the concrete, it's going to be how much? 1,600 or 1,400 square foot of the concrete. If you build wide, it's going to be all 2,600 of the foundation, which is we multiply on the price for foundation and make difference. It also depends on your task, your condition of the lot, condition of your design, the way you want to put the houses. Everyone wants to have the kitchen, living room, master bedroom on the first floor or the same elevation as a garage and a kitchen. Sometimes you have to put it on the second floor. Sometimes you have to do the extra side. So it's going to be your task and realization. As I said, it also can involve the septic field. You have to be if you have to septic, account it if you have the septic field, it will eat a lot of space on your lot. And same story, if it's a hill, if it's a slope, it also needs to be in a flatter zone as possible. So sometimes you lose your flat zone for concrete, but you give it to the septic field, and then you pay extra for the high slope.
Unfortunately, you cannot build anything above septic field, so it should be pretty empty part. So I have a kind of a matrix in my head, and I use it many times. So let's make it simple for viewers. So if we have a flat lot and stable soil, what foundation we will be using or building?
Here is going to be slab on the grade.
If we have a flat plus soft soil,
you have to either replace the soft soil or you have to put some piers.
If we have a sloped plus stable soil,
it's probably will be another slab on a grade, just
several stages,
different.
And
heights.
Finally, if we have the worst case scenario, sloped soil plus soft soil, sloped lot and plus soft soil.
The craziest slopes I've seen, they use the piers and columns. They raise the columns. The column not always go straight. The column also can be on a side, but it just give the support and put the forces somewhere in a more stable soil or some footings, heavy footings. So the one I've seen almost flatten in the air, that was columns on the edge, and they go pretty deep in a hard soil. So you still have to find something hard. You have to build from the hard.
I know it's not very popular in southern states, but are you a fan of basements or walk-in basements?
It's just extra cost, and I never seen here in Austin. Never seen the basements. It's extra cost for you to dig it out, build it up. Northern states, I believe, I might be wrong, but it might be even required
Because of frost line.
Yeah. Or it makes some sense to put some square footages over there to be useful. I've seen how they build in Washington. They use the basements all the time.
Yeah, I saw it in
But I believe it's
Massachusetts.
most of the
basements.
North states. Yeah.
Can you explain what, when we're using different types of concrete, what does 3,500 psi really mean? Like for 5 graders who just
That's
never deal with that.
mean how much pressure it can hold on certain amount of this of the zone. Yeah, like the piece of the concrete, how much pressure it hold before it start cracking.
And why we're using more resistant, I would say, or 4,000, 5,000 psi?
It will be dictated by the weight you put on top to match the condition. It has to be like, just as it makes sense, it has to be stronger than whatever you put on top. And that's I never seen in my practice 5,000, but we use the 4,500s for the roads, for the heavy trucks coming up. We use that one.
But what about shotcrete? And what do you think about shotcrete as a technology?
Shotcrete, because of the density, because of the weights put in, I believe it's 4,000 and more. It's a nice technology. It just has to be used in a correct way, correct condition, in certain areas where you can't reach to build your forms, or it make no sense financially to build form instead of shooting it from one side. We do use the shotcrete a lot, not only for the pools.
So the higher the wall, the more sense to use shotcrete, right? Like let's say
Depends.
10, 12.
Like in a hill country, in slopes, we do use it a lot because it just makes things quicker. I at least have to build less frame. I can reach and I can make the shotcrete in a more heights than with a wet mix. You just have to make financial sense, and
because
your
it's more
engineer
expensive.
has to be. It is a little bit more expensive, but time saving and way more stronger.
I see some engineers increasingly spec 5-inch slab instead 4-inch, right?
Yep.
Partly because 2x4. And are you seeing that? Why?
As I said, we always follow the detail, and that's what has to be counted as the price of the estimate. Whatever do the
But why
bidding,
engineers doing this?
can't
Of course,
say
you.
that's probably just make calculation sense.
Oh, okay. And one more technology-related question: tire wire versus welding.
We do tie. We don't weld.
Have you seen ever like welding?
Not in residential and commercial. Yes, I see, because it's might be the hardest structure has to keep its own weight. Yeah, I've seen the weld, but usually ties.
And the same question, I never seen it, but I know there is a steel versus fiberglass rebar. Like,
Yep.
What is the difference? Why using different types?
I've seen the fiberglass coming more and more. It's also the question of the money. Early days, the fiberglass been more expensive than rebar, or been the same price. Nowadays, still rebar a little bit more expensive than fiberglass. So people make a choice to that one. It has to be mentioned through your detail. It has, if you suggestion to your customer to go for fiberglass, it has to go through your engineer. He has to approve it. He has to do his recalculation to make sure you put them in the correct way. You still probably can't do it 100% for some footing, for some rings. You still have to do that still, but you can mix them and use like 80% of the fiberglass for the old flat zones and 20 for the some hard connections. And
I never seen in real life in Texas.
I see it. No, I see it. It's coming. But as I said, nowadays I'll say this is only because of the money question, because it get cheaper than steel rebar.
You mentioned that compaction should be 95-98%, right?
98 to 99, I believe.
Yeah, and what happens to a house built on, let's say, 80% compaction?
It will think one day, or some of the corner gonna show up, and then you have to reinforcement or fix it.
And who's checking the level of compaction? How it works?
There is a certain companies who do the tests before you put it in the soil. It's extra money, and as a concrete guy, I have to make sure this is correct. I can call for this inspection. Owner can call for this inspection. Engineer can call for this inspection. You just need to get certificate, like what is it, before you pour.
I think the most enjoyable day, it's a day when you pour concrete. Like a lot of people are really glad to see it. Like, how does it look like for you?
Probably for the owner, that's the like most excited day, the day you pour the concrete. For me, probably the next day when we remove the form and see like, yeah, we did a great job, nothing failed, none of the forms open. But yeah, it's like big relay day. We all
Can you walk me through this day? Like what happens at 4 p.m.? 4 a.m. Sorry.
So everything starts days before that. For that moment, before that day, you pass all inspections. You set everything. You fix everything. If you have any complaints or issue, you call maybe a week or 2 weeks earlier for the concrete supplier and the pump. You call 2 weeks for your finishers. Your crews know that's the certain day. You send all the notice and notifications to the owner. Everyone know that's the most important day in that stage. You start early. You show up maybe 30 minutes before the pump show up to find them the parking lot, to find them the way they pour, the way they set their equipment. The next one show up, usually your foreman or superintendent, whoever the lead on your side, show up to make sure everything is ready for the next step. The finishers crew show up, they unload equipment, the trucks show up. So they set up, if it's on a street, we have to protect the street, protect the concrete sidewalk to make sure we're not gonna mess it. We also put all the shoe from the pump. If it's a liner pump, if it's overhead pump, they have to find a spot where they can reach all the corners. They put the washout pool. Sometimes it's just a plastic pool. Sometimes we have to build it and put the plastic inside. That's the waste of the concrete and washout for the pump and the concrete machine. And that's pretty much it. You figure out with your crew from which corner you start to doing it and the way you're doing it. If it's a different levels, sometimes we pour the garage lower than the main floor. So we start from the garage, then we do the wall, and then we do the rest of the house. So you just have to build the plan the way you do it. You pour it, you smoothen it, and then you do the corners, you do the finishes, you do the whole nice finish. Sometimes we bring the machine to doing it. Sometimes we do by hand.
Helicopters.
We call it a helicopter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has like smarter name, but yeah, we all call it helicopter. And that's it. You treat it after you pour. You collect all the tickets from your trucks to understand how much concrete you use, how many yards. You make sure you don't leave any dust on the street. You clean it up. The day we pour, we have our own tradition. Like the food is on us. The whole crew don't have much time to really go and take the full lunch. So that's on my shoulder to bring them the food, bring them the beverages. And moment they have a break for 5-10 minutes, one by one, sometimes all together we go eat, and then they come back to do the finishes during the process of curing of the concrete. We're done, put the plastic, put some water, make some pictures, and we wait until the next day. Next day we show up to remove the forms and check if everything go correct way. All the concrete that we vibrate are covering certain areas. The forms didn't open it up, and we pretty much clean it, remove the forms, remove the old trash.
By the way, you mentioned a very interesting point about vibration. So I think it's pretty common mistake when people don't vibrate and then they have a holes and like small bubbles.
Yep, your mission to put the concrete certain way it's cover all the areas, not giving you any holes. Sometimes it can be left with a couple open inches and it's just a decorative things, but if you mess it and it's a problem, you have to, like if it's a giant open pieces, you see the rebar, it has to be fixed with a special mixture, which not gonna make it or make that point weak in one certain day. So we do use the vibration machines. We also go knock to the forms to make sure that all heavy parts are falling and the light parts are covering all the spots. Whenever we use the wood forms, my advice, don't over vibrate it because you can compact it as long as you want. But the problem is it make the pressure to the wood form. And most of the time we use screw and the nails, but it still can be opened. So you vibrate at certain point, you understand it's set up. It has to be experienced guy. It's not the first.
The more you vibrate, the more pressure will be on
more
forms.
pressure and the forms can be open. So it has to be experienced guy who know what to do, vibrate exactly the areas where you do. And there is a breaks between the two trucks, or one is finished and ready to go, another one is setting it up. So in that point between fresh and old one, you have to vibrate. You make sure those two mixtures are connected good and don't have any break point.
Don't vibrate too much, guys. What should nobody to do with a fresh concrete? Like, what is the no when concrete is still not ready?
Since we are the perfect world, we wait in all those 28 to 30 days. Don't put any heavy equipment. Don't put any heavy loads. Let's say your LVLs and your beams are show up for the roof. Put them on the site. Absolutely don't put them on the next day of your pour. Don't put them on a concrete. I've seen people do it. I don't know what either cost them cracks later or not, but that's no for sure. The harder it's become with the days, the harder will be like to cut or drill. So sometimes if you put the driveway or some light concrete, it make a lot of sense to cut it next day morning. It's gonna be pretty soft. If you cut it 3-4 days, it will be way harder to cut and it will start show up some cracks for sure. So there's some things you just need to adjust on your side. But yeah, don't put anything heavy. In like lightly use it. Wait before it's getting
chill for several days.
Yeah, I'll say start your first level in a week, and that's pretty much like I need 2 to 3 days to remove my forms. Then another 2 to 3 days, whatever the frame materials show up. And then like 7-8 days when you already done your layout, your inspection, your engineer has said everything good, your framer is ready to go. So it's like 7 to 8 days to put the first floor. And then another week or two, they put the second floor. And by the end of they put in frame, it's going to be already 30 days. But don't put a heavy equipment. If you build 12 feet floors, ceilings, I mean, you probably will be involved with a metal one, metal frame, and that's kind of heavy. I've seen the guys bring the forklifts inside the house to put the metal beams. That's a no-no for sure until those 30 days.
Yeah,
and engineer might be not knowing that you're gonna bring the heavy equipment. He give me the order to put only 4 inches concrete, and then you bring the heavy forklift. That 4 inches concrete not gonna hold it. It's gonna make a crack.
Wow. One thing you wish every home builder understand before they call you, before they ask you to do foundation. This is your chance to directly.
It's things we all need to understand, and it's not only about the concrete. Three things: money, time, quality. Choose only two. You can't do three the same times. It can be slow but expensive and high quality. It can be quick and expensive but low quality. Whatever. Choose only two. That's probably the main idea. You can avoid those.
Don't try to get a high quality for
cheap, high quality, and quick. Impossible. No way. You can choose only two. And that's if your subcontractor can make two, it's a good subcontractor.
Great, good point. Archie, thank you so much for your wisdom. I think this topic is really not very well covered on YouTube, so I hope it will help you guys to build your foundation better, faster, and without huge cracks.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.